Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Cuppa.tv. I am your host, Cookie, and welcome to your Tuesday morning dose of positivity, inspiration, as we open the book with Kate Christie today on the life list. I can't wait to welcome her in. But before I kick it off, I just want to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connections to lands, water, and community. I pay my respects to them and to their cultures and to the elders, both past, present and emerging. Hello, Rob, Tanya, Liam. How are you all this morning? Please pop your say hello into the chat room right now. We're going to be inviting in Kate Christie very shortly. Now, Kate is Australia's leading time management expert, speaker, best-selling author of 5 books, and sought-after media commentator in the spaces of productivity, time management, but also setting you up for the life that you want to live. Now, how many of us out there maybe struggling at this point in time of understanding around, our goals, our hopes, our dreams, our things that we want to, just do and execute and feel great in life? Well, I'm going to welcome in my friend Kate Christie right now to help share a little bit more about that. Kate, how are you?
I'm great, Cookie. Good morning.
Good morning to you, my friend. Now, have you got your coffee cup there?
I have.
Yeah, there it is.
It's very
I got all you need is coffee, but I've got tea in it today. So
I'm a hot chocolate girl.
Didn't have time to get the coffee. I got 2 rugrats under the age of 5, so it's a little bit stressful in this household in the morning. Christy, Kate Christie, I mean, I called you Christy. Good start.
That happens all the time.
All right. Well, the way I usually like to start it off is having a little bit of an espresso chat with you, just get to know you, Kate. The first question I was going to ask is, what were you like growing up as a kid?
I was a golden child. I was the little goody. I was such a goody. Middle child, constantly striving, aiming to please, which is fine when you're little, and it means you get to be naughty when you're older.
What's bringing you the most joy at the moment, Kate?
I think being around my kids at this age, I've got a 23, 22 and 19-year-old, and they're fantastic. They're adults, but they're still your kids. They can be your friends, but you can tell them to PO. I'm sort of flirting with a bit of empty nesting. I've got a lot more time and freedom on my hands, but I think I'm really genuinely loving being 53. It's an amazing age to be as a woman, and so that's what I'm loving. I'm loving where I'm at with my age, with my kids, with my business. I'm just in the sweet spot, mate.
Well, that's putting a smile on my face, Kate, to hear that, because there's many people out there around those sort of late 40s to 60s where they're really unsure about their life at the moment. They may have some regrets, etc. So let's see how we can help them out today. What's your favorite quote around the topics that you cover?
Okay, my favorite quote is by Rose Kennedy, and it's, "Life isn't a matter of milestones, but of moments."
I love that. We're going to be talking about moments a lot today, so stay tuned, everybody. And then finally, what's your hope out of today's session for everyone watching the show?
I would just love everybody to sit back and ponder and think about their lives, the life they're leading at the moment. Think about designing their own life list of everything they want to do right now while they're still young enough to enjoy it. And I'd love to leave you with a sense of momentum and enthusiasm and inspiration to start designing the next beautiful chapter of your own life.
Amazing. Well, I can't wait for today's show. Here is the book. It's called The Life List: Master Every Moment and Live an Audacious Life. Now, Kate, can you just share with us, how this book came about and why it's so important for people to really focus on this as well?
Sure. Yeah. So, look, as you said in the introduction, I'm a time management productivity expert and coach. That's my bread and butter. When the pandemic hit, and I think it was March 2020, and we were all scrambling, and I was, scrambling with my clients on productivity, and a month later, in April 2020, my ex-husband of 22 years, the father of my 3 beautiful children, was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
Oh, wow.
And within 11 months, he had died. and
Oh,
he was 54. He was the most dynamic, charismatic, gregarious, funny person ever. And he was gone. And that 11 months of watching my children grieve his death before he was even gone, of them coming to terms with his loss, of him coming to terms
mm,
with what was occurring, um, it was phenomenally brutal. And
mm.
um, it just was a massive wake up call for me that life is too short and I needed and wanted to live it very, very differently. And
Mm.
so about 11 months, oh, probably, yeah, probably about 9 months after he had passed away, um, I sat down and I wrote an article. I'm a opinion columnist for CEO World Magazine, and I
Mm.
write for them about productivity. And I just punched out this article, which was literally, "This is what's happened in my life. Life's too short." It's such a trite expression. Usually I use it to justify having another donut. But I'm going to do things differently. And I had this list of everything that I was going to do differently. And it included things like, I'm going to tell my kids how much I love them, even when they're shitting me. I'm not going to vacuum as much. I'm not going to sweat, getting takeaway 3 nights in a row because I'm just bloody tired. And it had things on it like, I'm going to climb mountains. I'm going to nurture my friendships, and I'm going to go live in Bali. And so there was big and small on there. And I honestly thought that the magazine would reject it because it wasn't my usual
Right.
content. But I submitted it. It took me 20 minutes to write. It just came from my heart. That life's too short. Let's have a life list. Let's do things differently. And within about 4 hours, it was on their front cover.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and they're an American publication, and it just went global. Cookie, I had people writing to me all over the world, obviously expressing their compassion for me and the
Of
kids and the
course.
experience, but more so saying, "Hey, I want a life list. I want to do things differently. I can I have your life list? Can I write
Mm.
a life list?" And so that's really where the book sprung from. I felt that I had tapped into a bit of a vein where people, particularly with COVID and everything that's occurring, we want to live differently. We want to live now. We want to not necessarily just climb the mountains, but we need to have some goals around how we want to live our beautiful lives right now, because later could be too late.
Well, that's exactly right. Like, yeah, we shared, and the community knows. Like, my dad died when he was 39. Like it is, and my business partner passed away, like a year and a bit ago as well. And you just don't
So
know.
sorry
And
to hear that.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, it happens though, right? And it's exactly what you're saying, that you've just got to live every moment as much as you can. I
Yeah.
suppose my question is we've all heard about the bucket list. What's the difference between a life list and a bucket list?
Yeah. Look, they're so very, very different. A bucket list is, it's basically a list of things you want to do before you die. And
Mm,
I don't want to wait that long. I want to do all my good stuff now, while I'm young enough to enjoy it. The other thing with the bucket list is it's often a list of adventures or travel or, crazy stuff that you do that might even hasten your death, like,
mm.
swimming with sharks dressed up
Yeah,
like a very little seal, or jumping out
do
of
a
a plane with
bungee
a
jump where the cord snaps.
exactly. I mean, God, I don't want to do any of that crap. Um, so, a life list is a list of everything you want to do while you're still young enough to live it and love it and enjoy it.
So
And it's not just limited to adventure and travel. It makes up all of the parts of our incredible life that gives us joy and is fulfilling for us.
So you've got to, you mentioned in the book, and again, everyone, if this is resonating with you, you can buy the book down below. But you mentioned that there is 7 components. Is that right? That should make
Yeah.
up a life list. Can you just explain those 7 components for us, please?
Yeah, so, look, adventure is definitely one of the 7 because, I certainly want to travel and have adventures and experiences. There's also health and well-being, wealth, in terms of getting your house in order, because life is too short. You don't want to leave things uncertain for your
Yeah.
children. You want to have a will. You want to take care of your superannuation. Growth in terms of, constantly being curious and challenging yourself, and constantly striving and learning about different people, different cultures, different ideas. There's a giving component. I think, very much I've reached the age, but regardless of the age of the people listening, we all have knowledge and we all have intellectual property, and I think that it's on us to work out how we're going to pass that on. So
I
there's
love
the
that.
giving component. Relationships, what do you want your relationships to look like and be like with the people that you love most,
Mm.
with other people that you don't even know. I've been challenging myself to sit on the train and just have a chat to the person opposite me. And then the seventh category is lifestyle and environment. So, how do I want to live? For me, a big part of lifestyle and environment for me now is decluttering and getting rid of
Yeah.
crap and not acquiring goods and possessions. I want to acquire experiences now. So,
Mm.
across those 7 chapters or those 7 parts of your life, we need to have goals so that we're living this constantly very fulfilling life, and we're designing it ourselves. I think that's the other thing, Cookie, that certainly in the time management productivity goal setting component of the work that I do, it always amazes me with my clients when if they haven't set, goals, they don't have a 5-year plan, or they don't have an annual plan, and so all of this success that you create or curate is because you seize opportunities when they come to you, which is brilliant,
Gotcha.
and I love that. But imagine how much more you could achieve if you actually set goals on top of that. So it's so important.
Can I ask you, like, everything that you're speaking about just seems simple, like, we should be doing, but why don't most people even think about this until either a tragedy happens
Yeah.
or something happens to you or something like that it triggers your thought to do it. Like I've always been, yeah. I can't, it always happens. It always happens when something happens in your life. It triggers you to think. Like, why should people concentrate on it now more than ever before it
Yeah.
happens?
Yeah. Look, I think that we're busy.
Mm,
We're all got caught up in the busy club. It's a hi, Cookie, how are you? I'm busy. Oh my God, I'm busy too. And then we talk about how busy we are. And busy seems to have acquired a bit of a social status, a badge of honor. That
mm,
if you're not busy, then perhaps you're not working hard enough or you're not being successful enough. So I think partly we get caught up in that dialogue. I think the other thing is that when we sit down and start setting goals, we have that moment of inspiration and perhaps 20 minutes or an hour or 2 hours of euphoria where we think this is going to be so incredible. And then
mm.
the next thing that happens, the very next thing that happens is our brain kicks in and tells us all the reasons why we can't do it.
Yeah,
And I
get it.
call them the resisting forces. And there's
Mm,
2 categories. There's the fear category and there's the lack category. So your brain will tell you, "Oh, I can't set that goal, or I can't try and go after that goal because I might not succeed. There's a fear of failure, or there's a fear that you'll be judged by the people that you live with, or the people you love, or there's a fear that people will think you're being selfish, or there's a fear that you might succeed." There's the fear bucket. Then there's the lack bucket. I don't have enough money. I don't have the right resources. I don't have enough time. And so your brain will tell you all these reasons why you cannot go after that goal.
mm,
And most people, or many people, at that point, that's enough. They'll
mm,
draw a line. They'll say, "Oh, it was a great idea, but
mm,
I can't do it."
mm.
So in the book, I have a framework where I talk you through how to get past those resisting forces. And
What's
the
the
first,
what's the first component? Because like that's the breaker, isn't it? Like that's the break of cycle. What would you say is the first component of that process?
so the first thing you want to do to move past those resisting forces is sit down and have a think about what it is that you most value in your life. So
Interesting.
um, every self-help course you've ever done will ask you to work out your values. And
Yeah.
I think, and that's important, that's great, but I feel that's the wrong question. I don't want to know what your values are. I want to know
Yeah.
what you most value. So rather than thinking, integrity, honesty, success, where do you actually want to invest your time? And there's three questions that I get you to answer to work out what it is you most value. The first question is, if you were really, really sick, what would you get out of bed for? And
Yeah.
people listening can do this exercise later. So what would you get out of bed for? And write a big, long list. The second question is, when you're with your besties, the people who float your boat, lift you up, what do you love talking about? And the third question is, you think of that person that you really admire in your life, in your orbit. If they were to compliment you, what would you love them to say about you? And write a list. Then get a pen and put a big circle around any answer that comes up to all three questions. And that's going to give you a pretty good idea of what it is you most value. So for mine, what I most value, my kids, my business, and my health and well-being. They're my three. You might have 10, it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So when I set a goal and I might say, well, I want to go and plant 1 million trees next year. And then the resisting forces will kick in. Oh, you don't have time. Where are you going to find the trees? What if your hands get sore? How are you going to dig? You don't have the shovels. Where are you going to find the land? All the resisting forces kick in. The next step is I then go to what it is I most value. My kids, my business, and my health and well-being. And I think, imagine how proud my kids are going to be of me when I achieve this goal. And they might want to do it with me, and we could do this goal together. Imagine what that would be like. And then I'm going to have so many articles that I can write about for my business, and this is going to be great for my business. And from a health and well-being perspective, I am going to be feeling amazing, and I'm out there digging holes and I'm planting trees. And so the resisting forces have been completely pushed out of the way. They've been bulldozed by what it is I most value.
That's so good. I'm sad that my camera has just died on us, so just bear with me while I get it on. But that is such a brilliant comment. I was going to ask you about the goals, though, as I get my camera back.
Yeah.
You say you speak in the book about 3 types of goals, and you even said it before that it's not just about the big goals. But can you just explain that a little bit further?
Yeah. So there's and I think this really came to me, Cookie, when I was writing the book, because I think that in the past I've done goal setting, or I feel I've done goal setting wrong. I always had sort of set one big goal and I'd chase it down, achieve it, and oh great, that's done. Then I'd set another big goal. And what I realized was I was kind of doing it wrong. I feel that we need to have a multitude of goals on the go at any given time that we need to be chasing down. So there's 3 different types of goals. The first is the go big goals, the big, crazy, hairy, audacious goals that are going to take you a year to complete or 2 years to complete. So it might be the running a marathon, or planting the 1 million trees, or climbing a mountain, or traveling around Australia, or whatever. So there's the go big goals, the big, hairy, audacious ones that have lots and lots of moving parts. The second type of goal is go small goals. So these are outside of business as usual. They're not the sort of things that you would tick off, but have 2 or 3 of these a month, where it's, this month, on top of everything I normally do, I am going to go after these 3 smaller goals that I can achieve within a month. So it might be I'm going to walk 10,000 steps a day every single day for a month. And then the third type of goal is the go now goals, which are the acts of spontaneity, the seizing the opportunity as it arises, and to say, hey, I'm actually going to say yes to this opportunity, even though it's not something I've planned for. And it's the go now goals that have been the hardest for me, because as a time management expert, honestly, my life is scheduled to within an inch of its life. So the idea of being spontaneous and accepting or chasing a goal within a minute of someone suggesting it or the opportunity arising has been a challenging one for me. But they're the ones I'm really enjoying the most, I've got to say.
Well, Kate, my camera is failing me today, so you're just on full screen mode today. So
Lucky
bit
me.
of an apology, but the content is incredible, and I want to keep on chatting through many different things. We speak about moments a lot in our lives, and how individual moments shape and change our life. How do we best own or live in the moment from your perspective?
Yeah, look, I think it's about being aware that the being present, obviously, and it's trite, but I think that the way that I've best moved into living in the moments is I did a big deep dive into what the word moment means, and
Mm.
it's really focused me now on moments. It's literally my favorite word in the world at the moment. So moments have there's three definitions to the word moment. The first is that it's actually a unit of time. It's 90 seconds. So just as 60 seconds is a minute, or a minute is defined as 60 seconds, a moment is defined as 90 seconds. And so being a time management coach, that one completely floats my boat. The second definition of the word moment is that it describes the action when something pivots on a hinge. So, for example, when you open a door, the pivoting on the hinge is called a moment. And the third definition of a moment is it's a unit of energy. So when there's an earthquake, scientists measure the volume or the power of the earthquake using the momentum magnitude scale. And it just honestly just tickles me pink, because I think, okay, if I could combine those three moments, imagine what I could do with my life in terms of goal setting and changing things. So I just need to take 90 seconds of time to open a new door to create earth shaking energy. And that's how I now live in the moment. And I think of moments and I think of my goals that way. You can do an enormous amount with 90 seconds. I can open a lot of new doors in 90 seconds and create earth shaking energy in my life. And so I'm now very present, and I'm often thinking of how am I going to use this moment? It's just 90 seconds of time. And I think for the listeners, if they're feeling overwhelmed by the concept of goal setting and going after the big, hairy goals, it's not about that. It's about going after the 90-second actions. Just take 90 seconds and make a change. Take 90 seconds and take a step. And once you've taken the step and you add a few more steps, you get momentum. And
Yeah.
and that's incredible.
And momentum is everything. Like that's the energy that you need to get you moving. And I loved how we spoke about that in the pre-chat as well. And I was in total agreement with you. You just got to get on a roll, because it can go the other way as well. You can get your roll on a roll with negative moments.
Well, the definition of momentum is mass.
Yeah, get you.
And we are mass. So we have to be in movement in order to get momentum. The opposite of momentum is Netflix. You have to be in movement to be able to gain momentum.
Fantastic. What about those negative Nancy's in our life? What's the one word or comment you would like to say to those people?
Oh, look, there's a lot, and I do address them in my book, and I use some very colourful, flowerful language, which I won't share today. But I probably swear a little bit in the book. But look, ultimately, not everyone's going to agree with your course, with your decisions. But it's your life. We only live once, and um, I urge you so strongly, don't let those people rain on your parade.
No.
Let them go and rain on their own parade. The best answer I feel that I can give you, or for you to give people who are giving you that negative feedback, is just to simply thank them. Thank you so much for your feedback, and give them a smile and say nothing else. And you give them nowhere to go, because you're not arguing with them. You're not backing down. You're smiling and thanking them for their feedback. They've got nowhere to go. And then you continue doing what you want to do, because it's your life.
Love it. So good. Now, we've only just scratched the surface of the book, Kate, but if people did buy the book, whether it's for themselves, if you want to buy it for your team as well, please reach out to Kappa or Kate directly if you want to buy in bulk. However, what else will people get from when they open the book? Is there anything else that we should be making them aware of before we go today?
Look, I think that, we all have a backstory, Cookie. Everyone's had tragedy, everyone's had loss. My story's no sadder than anyone else's. I think it's what we then do with that story. I think reflect on your own backstory and understand that it has shaped you, but it doesn't define what your future story is. You get to write that yourself. And I really am very hopeful that the life list will help people design that next chapter of their life and to live in the moment and to live audaciously and with genuine pleasure, because life's too short. And, we cannot leave things till later, because later just might be too late.
So important. If there was one thing that our audience should do today before they leave, or if they can spend 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes reflecting on the chat today, what would you recommend them doing?
I'd recommend that they think about what might be holding them back from writing a life list. If it's the fear, if it's the lack, then reflect on those 3 questions I asked around what it is you most value, and understand that the things that you most value are always going to bulldoze your fear and any sense of lack. So push through, do that exercise, push through, and then write your beautiful, beautiful life list. It's an iterative process. It's not set in stone. Write it, add to it, change it, and email it to me. Everyone's now that the book's out and about, I'm getting emails every day from people around the world sharing their life list, and it's bringing me so much joy, Cookie. So
it's so good when you get those, isn't it? It's so good.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask you, what's one thing on your list at the moment that you're looking forward to doing?
That's so easy to answer. 5 years ago, I set myself the goal that I was going to move to Bali to live and work. So in mid-July, I'm doing a 7-week practice run. So I'm leaving mid-July, and I'll be living in Bali for 7 weeks and just exploring. And I then managed to tick off another life list goal, because I've always wanted to learn how to surf, and I always felt so dicky. Because I'm blind as a bat, and I just, oh my God, what, is my bum hanging out of these bathers? And I'm just like, nah, it's my turn. So I'm actually learning how to surf in Bali. I've got a week's retreat with an Australian company called Surf Getaways, and they're going to teach me how to surf. I'm so excited.
I'm so glad for you to share that as we finish up the show today. Everyone, please give a wave of gratitude to Kate. And please make sure that you also buy the book. If it's not for yourself, it could be a great book for someone else that might be feeling stuck right now. So please make sure that you do buy the book. Kate, any parting words for today?
Look, thanks so much for having me, Cookie. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Sorry about the glitches, but this is what happens with live.
Yeah, life's too short. Who cares?
I don't care anymore.
Honestly, there's worse things that could happen.
It is what it is. Well, Kate, you've been incredible. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, see you soon.
My pleasure.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us here for a cuppa this morning, and thank you for being a part of another show of Open Book. Please make sure that if you haven't checked out our recent conversation that we had with Shane Hatton, please do so online. It's all around early stage leaders and the barriers that exist. It's been so popular that we are streaming huge numbers on it at the moment, which is amazing. And then we've also launched the So Now You're a Leader program, which is our short course for new leaders. So please make sure that you do check that out. And then beyond that, check out next week's show, Teams That Swear. You can see why I've got this book handy. No, it's not about swearing at your team members. It's about how do we swear by each other and not about each other. It's going to be a great chat with Adrian. So please make sure that you do chat with us next week on a Tuesday, and we'll see you soon. That is it from Cookie. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us once again and being a part of cuppa.tv. Feel free to share the replay of this conversation as well to your community. That is it. I'll catch you soon. Bye.